So I managed to pick up a stone chip, which is about 15-20 millimeters long, 15 millimeters wide. It's just in the gel coat, which is good. So what we're going to do today is repair that, and then tomorrow or a couple of days time when the weather's better, because the weather's not going to be great tomorrow, we'll sand it down with some wet and dry, and hopefully it will be absolutely invisible when it's done. That's the plan. First thing we're going to do is clean the velo. That's that clean. I'm going to park it in the sun now for half an hour, just to really let that stone chip area to dry off, and then we'll get cleaning and preparing that ready for the gel coat repair. So this is the gel coat repair kit I got from East Coast Fibreglass in South Shields. It's cleaner, polishing compounds, hardener, all the cups and drippers and stirrers and clocks and things you need. The important bit is this one, which is a little tin, I think it's 500 millilitres, and it's the gel coat itself, but it's pigmented. So where it says RAL 2004, that's that colour there, hopefully. So the first thing we're going to do is remove any loose bits of this gel coat. We're aiming to get down so there are no cracks or anything like that, and the recommended tool for this is Swiss Army knife. So I'm just pinging that off, and I'm looking to make sure I've got a really good connection down to the base without any signs of any crack or dirt under there. That'll do. So reading the next step in my destructions from East Coast Fibreglass: clean and abrade damaged area. If the area is small, a sharp edge tool is usually sufficient to scrape out any loose gel coat and key the surface. I'm actually going to give it a little rub over with some really coarse glass paper, just to make sure. So really coarse glass paper. This is 40 grit, which is brutal stuff, and I'm just going to rub in there. So it contains some of these lint-free cloths and a little bottle of acetone. So acetone is just nail polish remover really, and I'm sure people are quite happy to get this over their fingers and over their nails, but exposure to strong solvents is never good, so I'm wearing gloves. So the acetone has taken off all the little loose bits of the gel coat that from where we abraded the area. It's also completely degreased it, so the gel coat we put on is going to stick really well to that now. Because I'm making a repair on a vertical surface, when I put the gel coat on, it's obviously going to try and run down here. So what the kit contains is several small sheets of this, which is release film, and the idea of this is that we can stick this on here temporarily, and that'll just stop the gel coat from slumping. Now what you'll notice is that because I'm trying to do it on a curved surface, it wants to wrinkle up. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to cut a fairly small strip of this, so we're only applying it to the smallest area possible, and I've got some masking tape just to hold that in place. That'll do nicely. Now, with it being such a small repair, I only need to mix up a tiny amount of this stuff. The problem is that the amount of catalyst you need, and this is the catalyst, methyl ethyl ketone, MEK, is something of the order of 1%. So the recommended method on the instructions is you mix up a small amount. They supply plenty of cups for doing that kind of thing. I've got a small plastic cup that's been salvaged from the bin, and I'm going to put a couple of good dollops of the gel coat in here, and then literally 1 drop of the catalyst. Mix it together really, really well, and then we'll apply it. And the idea is to make sure it's proud of the surface, so we can subsequently sand it back with some wet and dry, and then some polish, and just completely lap it in. And fingers crossed, we should end up with a near invisible repair. Okay, now the slightly scary bit is mixing up the gel coat. Just taking the lid off the can carefully. I feel we should do the thing they do in changing rooms, where they open the tin of paint and go, "Whoa, that's bright." That's about the orangest thing I have ever seen. Okay, so we're really going to very carefully add a couple of drops of hardener. And again, the kit comes with the wherewithal for that, with a little disposable pipette. There we go. And literally 1, 2, 3. It is quite runny, and I've got to end up with this proud of the surface because we're going to sand it back in, so I'm going to need quite a bit on there. And I want to make sure I get right to the edges and over them all the way around. Alright, and that'll do. That looks good. Okay, so this has been on overnight and hopefully fully cured. With mixing the gel coat, I found out it's an awful lot more sensitive to getting the mix ratio correct. If you've used epoxy resins before, they're a lot more forgiving. With the gel coat, I've actually had 2 or 3 goes at this to get it right, and you've got to be accurate. The mix I found that worked quite well was using a syringe that comes in the kit to measure out 5 millilitres, and then add about 1.5 to 2 drips of the catalyst. With the catalyst, what I actually did was, using the pipette that comes in the kit, I measured out 1 milliliter and counted how many drips it was to work that out. Anyway, let's see if this is cured, and fingers crossed. Yeah, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? So that's nice and hard. And what we're going to do is we're going to polish that back with 4 different grades of wet and dry paper. and then after that we're going to apply some cutting compound, and then finally a wax polish on top as well. And you see where I've previously done it, it's a little bit matte, and that should come out all nice and glossy as well. What I've made here is a sanding block out of a bit of filler foam from some other work I've been doing, and I've given this a curve that kind of matches the inside of the wheel arch, because we want to sand against a surface rather than with fingertips, because if we do it with fingertips we won't end up with a nice smooth surface. So I'm starting off with the 400 grit wet and dry, and this is going to take off the sort of bulk that's proud of the surface. So that's the 400 grit done. If I just wipe that down, see it's pretty much smoothed in. Can't really see anything. Quite a matte finish at the moment, so we're going to go over that with I think it's 600, 800 and 1200 grit, just to get it really smooth. Important thing to note is that between each of the grits I've changed the water for the wet and dry, because we don't want to carry over any of the harsher grade grit onto the next layer. The purpose of these subsequent layers is to take out the scratches left by the coarser grits. So dump that in the water, and it really doesn't take much once you've got past that first sanding to get it down more or less level. So what you notice there is we've got a slight colour difference. And I'm going to apply some polishing compound now, and that should take that to a really high gloss. Little circles, and make sure we blend it right in over the edge of where it's got that matte finish. It's the UV polish that comes with the kit, and you wipe on, allow to dry, and then wipe off. It's a lovely, if I can find the camera, lovely violet colour. Like the Karate Kid said, wax on, wax off. So I've got two cloths, one for putting it on and one for taking it off. Again, little circles. I'm making sure I'm going well over the area where we've had any damage from the sanding we had to do. Leave that to dry for a second. And wax off. Wax on, wax off. I'm going to give that another couple of coats. So that's that done. It's not perfect. I think you can see a slight colour difference. There's a couple of little pinhole bubbles I've had, and you can just about feel the edge. I think maybe going over that again with the sandpaper might get that a bit better. But as a first go, considering how badly damaged it was, I'm not at all disappointed in that.